shopping. Okay, this story is related to the recent movement of retailers in St Helier. They want to be able to open on Thursdays, late night on Thursdays. Just like we all see around Christmas time, where we can all go shopping till 10 o'clock at night, something like that. Retailers want to be able to open on Thursdays till 7 o'clock. They're hoping that this will stem the decline in high street retail. So the question is, A, is this a good thing? Do we want shops open at 7 o'clock? And B, if it is a good thing, is it enough? So let's look at the reasons possibly why retail in Jersey, high street retail, has declined. Now, I'm not an expert on economics or retail or anything like that. I'm just looking at this from the layman's point of view. Obviously, there are a couple of big topics out there that I think affect this. One is the online shopping. So a lot of people now doing their shopping online. The other one is parking. I hear a lot of people, when you talk about retail in Jersey, they complain that there is either nowhere to park, or when they find somewhere to park, the price of parking is ridiculous and puts them off, and so they'd rather just not come to town in the first place. The other thing is money. We all know there's been a recession and everyone's pinching the pennies at the moment. We're always hearing about how the cost of living is going up, but wages aren't going up to meet it. So is that possibly a reason, or is that a factor, at least, that people just can't afford to be going shopping as often? Then there is also the aspect of shopping specifically in Jersey, in the shops in Jersey. Do you get the same quality of goods? Do you get the same choice as you do elsewhere or online? Do you get the right service, or the service you expect when you're paying for your goods? So I think we'll go into each one of them topics and just look at them in a bit more detail and just try and flesh it out and see if we can make sense of some of this. So my first point was online shopping. So according to the British Retail Consortium, in April of this year, 1 in 10 retail sales took place online. 1 in 10. In May, online retail grew by 15%. In July, online retail grew by 10%. Last month, online retail accounted for 16.7% of all non-food products. So we're not looking at the supermarkets here, we're just looking at the non-food products. 16.7% of all non-food products were bought online. I mean, that's not far off 20%, that's nearly 1 in 5. 1 in 5 products purchased online. So if we just look at that on its own, that means that already in the last few years, as online shopping has taken off, retailers have already seen a 20% drop in profit from that aspect alone. Obviously these are UK based numbers. I don't know if they correlate directly to Jersey or not, but it's a sign, isn't it? It's a sign of the times. So the other thing, I didn't actually mention this, but I wanted to talk about quickly, was the opening hours in the UK compared to Jersey. So reading from the gov.uk website, small shops, which are those under 280 square metres, can open at any time on any day in England and Wales. Any time, any day. So already there you've got the fact that in Jersey, the current opening hours, I mean, I don't know about you, if you're working sort of shifts, maybe it's different, but for the average worker working a 9 to 5, it seems the shops open just as you go into work, then you come out of work and they're all closing up. So the whole time you could have gone there, you were working. So your only real time to go into town is on Saturday. Well, that's your only sort of day off, isn't it? I mean, Saturday and Sundays. do you really want to be traipsing around town with every other person that's had to go shopping on that day? Because you're all kind of forced to go shopping on that day, aren't you? So, and then if you do decide to take yourself into town on the Saturday for a bit of shopping, then you have to worry about parking. Parking. So, assuming half the island is flooding into St Helier to do their shopping, you got to find a space. Now, all of the one-way systems in town are a nightmare. It's just like one big maze that you have to traipse through with all the traffic, desperately trying to find a place. If you do happen to come across a space, then you are one lucky person to start with. But then there are restrictions on how long you're allowed to stay there for. You have to be unloading. You can't be there if you're doing this, that, the other. So you need to go to one of the multi-storey car parks, really, don't you? Let's be honest. And the price of parking tickets, I don't know the individual price of parking tickets, but I do know the last time I bought a season ticket, which is to cover you for 1 month, it was, I think it was about £120 or £115, something like that. It's expensive, and if you're talking about already you're going into town to spend money before you've even started, before you've even stepped into the realm of the high street, you've already had to fork out £4 or £5 to park your car. Then there's the added aspect that you've had to park your car half a mile away. So, you know, you've got certain car parks, I think like Minden Place car park and Sand Street, but you're only allowed to stay there for an hour, I think, or 3 hours maybe. So you can't really park there the whole day. So if you want to park in Pier Road or one of the other big car parks, it's a bit of a hike. So if you plan to do a lot of shopping, make sure you take someone with you who's got a good pair of arms on them. So that's the frustration around parking, which I think people moan about it and say it impacts why retail has gone down, but whether that's just people taking the opportunity to have a dig about parking, I don't know. The recession. So it's kind of old news now, the recession, blah, blah, blah. No one's really talking about it that much anymore, but people are still feeling the pinch, I think. And we're constantly hearing about record numbers of unemployed people and the cost of living going up. Everything's going up except for wages. Wages aren't going up, they're staying the same. So people probably don't have as much liquid assets, cash, floating around as they did before to spend on things. People probably avoid, I know I do, when I don't have the money to spend, I avoid going into town in the first place, because the temptation when you go in a shop and see something you want, there's then the temptation to buy it. So if I don't have the money to be doing that, I don't bother going into town in the first place. You're just teasing yourself, aren't you? Let's be honest. So I'm sure that's having an impact on retail in Jersey. Then the other thing is the quality of goods, the choice, and the service. So quality of goods, I'm not sure that's such a valid point actually, because that varies from shop to shop, doesn't it? Choice, you don't get much choice in Jersey. It's a fact. It's just a matter of geography. We don't have that much space. There is not enough space in Jersey for enough shops or enough big shops to be able to stock every possible product you would want to buy, or every variation of every product you'd want to buy. So that's kind of limited. That's a kind of a small town problem. I guess that's the same in any small town, but it has an impact, doesn't it? Then there's the service. Now, I find sometimes you go into shops and you've got someone who either doesn't really care about customer service, or if you're going into a shop that's maybe quite a specialised shop, maybe the customer, the assistant doesn't really know anything about what it is they're selling. So, for example, you go into a shop that's selling digital cameras and other gadgets and gizmos, and ask them, which is the best, what's this compared to this, can I do this, that and the other on it, and the person doesn't know, they don't have a clue. So are you going to buy from that shop? Are you going to buy from someone who doesn't really know if that's the thing you want? Or are you going to go online where you can read a million reviews on the product, you can see how many gadgets go with that gadget, how many accessories, you can click and buy them there and then, you don't have to order them, you don't have to worry about people not having them in stock. And 9 times out of 10, let's be honest, it's cheaper. It's cheaper. It's a lot cheaper. The price of certain goods in Jersey is ridiculous compared to online. You can literally save 50% if you buy online. And not only that, but then they'll just deliver it to you for free. So, you know, or possibly a couple of pounds for post and packaging. But they're going to deliver it to your door. You don't have to worry about all the traffic in town. You don't have to worry about the opening hours, the parking. Someone's just going to bring it to your door. So, it's a tricky one. And I think, for me, I think retail, high street retail, is gonna go down the same way as fax machines or CDs, where they are holding on and they're desperately trying to liven up the market and do different quirky things to get people back into the retail shops. But at the end of the day, online shopping is growing more and more and more and more, and people are even buying their food online now. You don't even bother going to the supermarket, you can just order it online. It's just a matter of time before retail's just dead. I mean, it's going to go that way. I can see it happening. So that's my thoughts. That's why I think retail in Jersey is on the decline. Now, opening the shops until 7 o'clock on a Thursday, is this going to be something that is going to help the situation? What do you think? Do you think so? Will you go shopping specifically on a Thursday? I suspect a lot of people will, because those who are working in town or live in town or around town who wanted to do something, maybe didn't get time in their lunch hour or something like that, will possibly rush out and buy whatever it is they wanted to buy at that time. But 7 o'clock's really not that late. If you're working a 9 to 5, and a lot of people work later than that, you know, overtime and whatnot, 7 o'clock's really not a long time to browse. It's more time to just get in there and get the thing you already knew you wanted. Well, if that's the case, you probably would have gone in the Saturday to get it, or you probably would have made time in one of your lunch hours to get it, because you knew you needed to get it anyway. I think when it comes to retail on the high street, you want people to browse. I think, you know, you want to get people in. Yes, there's a specific item you might be coming in for, but then I want you to look around my shop and buy everything else I've got for sale. And I don't think that's enough time for people to do that. And then you look at people who don't work in town, who don't live in town, who finish work, go home. Are they going to then leave home and drive into town to try and get that 2 hours of shopping that they could do? Or by the time they get there, probably 1 hour. Bearing in mind, traffic's a nightmare at that time. I don't think so, personally. I think you're only capturing there the office workers who are walking past the shops and will nip in and get the thing that they didn't manage to get earlier in the week, or possibly have a little browse. I don't think it's enough. I think if they're going to open late, I think it should be till 10 o'clock. And I don't know why Thursdays, something specific about Thursdays, but, you know, is 1 day a week enough? Maybe they should do a couple of days a week. And not only the retailers, but I think also the banks, the high street banks should do the same. Because how many times have you needed to pay something in, and the banks are they open when you start work and they close when you finish work? It's completely frustrating. So the bank should do something similar, I think, as well. At least 1 day a week where you need to go in and talk to someone or pay some money in or something like that. So that's my views on the subject. I don't know what you guys think. If you've got any comments to add to that, please feel free. And yeah, do you think that will make a difference? And do you want it, is the more important question. So thanks for listening, guys.